A while back I was in a second-hand shop and I spotted a bunch of camera lenses behind the counter, so I asked to have a look at them. Most of them weren't of any interest, but I did grab this 180mm Meyer optic Telemagor. I haven't got round to shooting with it yet, but it should be fun when I do. There was also this case that I presumed from its shape would contain a lens, although I was surprised by the name because I only associate Sekonic with exposure meters. Anyway, opening the case revealed a bit of an odd-looking meter of some kind. I'd never seen anything quite like it, but I walked away only buying the lens. Of course, the usual thing happened. I kept thinking about the strange-looking Sekonic meter. So about an hour later I was back in the shop to look at the meter again. They didn't want much money for it, so this time I bought it. Once I'd got it home and done a little research, its intended purpose and unusual form factor all made sense. It is, of course, a waterproof exposure meter, designed specifically for underwater photography. You've got a big, easy-to-read display on the front and large controls on the back that could easily be operated by feel alone. I'm sure the bright colouring is also deliberate, so you can find the thing if you happen to put it down. There were a few versions of the Marine meter. I think mine is the latest model, with the film speeds indicated by their ISO numbers rather than by ASA or DIN. From what little I've found out, Sekonic were making the Marine meter from the 1960s through to the mid-90s, by which time I guess most cameras had built-in exposure meters and there was no longer a need for the Marine meter. The specifications appear to suggest that the unit can be used down to a depth of about 60 meters. The controls are pretty simple. You set the film speed by pulling out the big knob and rotating it until you get the desired ISO number. You do this before you began your dive because you wouldn't be changing film underwater. Once that knob is pushed back in, it rotates the outer ring with the aperture markings and a shutter speed index mark. The only other control is the on-off switch. The middle position is off, with on over to the right. Rotating the switch in the opposite direction allows you to check the battery. If the battery is good, the needle should reach the red mark on the dial. The light enters the unit through this window. The glass is recessed quite a way back, so there's little risk of knocking it against a rock while working underwater. And finally we have the battery hatch, which thankfully on this unit didn't have a battery left inside to corrode the contacts. There's an O-ring to seal the hatch, and the instructions are quite clear that you should take care to clean the seal carefully when fitting a new battery. They even supplied you with some grease to apply to the O-ring to aid it sealing properly. The unit used the standard 1.35 volt PX625 or PX13 mercury cell. These are no longer available, but there are various workarounds. I use a 675 or Blue Tab zinc air hearing aid battery with an adapter to bring it up to the correct size. These zinc air batteries work at about the right voltage when under the light load of the meter, but they won't last nearly as long as the original mercury cells if they're left in the unit for a period of time. Okay, future me here. When I first uploaded this video, a regular viewer raised the point that these zinc air cells, and that includes the wine batteries that many people use as a substitute for old mercury cells, can generate a considerable amount of gas, which, assuming the seals on this light meter seal to the pressure from the inside as well as they do to the pressure from the outside, could lead to the enclosure breaking in some way from the pressure. On that basis, whatever battery you put in one of these units, I'd be inclined to remove it at the end of the day. I'll put a link in the description to one of Big Clive's videos where you can see him experimenting with some zinc air batteries and the gas they produce. And now back to the video. Using the light meter is pretty straightforward. Let's say I want to shoot at 1/125th of a second. Then I'd rotate the big knob until the index mark lined up with the 125. Point the meter at a subject, or in this case my background, obviously having turned it on first, and read off the aperture that the needle is pointing to. In this case it's f5.6, so I'd set the aperture on the camera to f5.6 and take my shot. Compare that to a more traditional light meter like my Weston Master III. At first glance these look incredibly complicated, but in actual fact they're not too bad once you're used to them. Point the meter at my background and remember where the needle is pointing to. In this case it's pointing just above the line between 25 and 50. Then rotate the big arrow so that points to just above the line between 25 and 50. And look on the other side of the dial to see which aperture lines up with 125th of a second. And as before it gives us f5.6. And finally my somewhat more modern Sekonic exposure meter. Point it at the background, press the button to take a reading, and flip it round to look at the display, and we get 125th of a second at f5.6. The modern electronic exposure meters do give you the information in a nice easy to read display, but I think you learn faster about the correlation between apertures and shutter speeds when you use one of the old meters. Anyway, back to the marine meter. It probably would have come with some sort of strap or cord to attach to the ring on the body. In the lid of the case there's a bit of elastic and a clear plastic strap with a press stud. From what I've read, these held a small container of grease to lubricate the O-ring and a device to open the battery hatch. And that's about it for this short interim video. If you've enjoyed watching, please like the video and maybe even subscribe to the channel, not forgetting to click on the bell icon so you get notification when future videos are released. That's it for now, so thanks for watching and I'll see you in a future video.